Dear Louis, in this year of forgiveness, which is what I proclaimed the year 2025 to be, are there any simple daily practices that one can do to promote forgiveness? Absolutely. It's kind of a rhetorical question. Excuse me. Let me just get a quick sip here. There's a really great book. I don't often recommend books, but there's a really great book on forgiveness that was written by Colin Tipping. I was using it a lot many years ago, and a lot of people have given some wonderful feedback on that. So that's something that you might have a look at. Also, a good way to begin this process is to begin identifying people you know you need to forgive, people whom in your emotional and feeling body you feel have transgressed against you, violated you, offended you, betrayed you. You could, not in a place anyone will see, but if you need to write it down and compose a list, and you might even take some notes, that gives you a beginning, and just bullet points. Now, that would be the first step, or the second one if you're reading the book on forgiveness. And I'm sure there are plenty of other really, really good ones. The second piece would be to make a list with a few bullet points on the different perpetrations and violations that you feel you need to forgive. Whether or not it's accurate or projection or victimhood, I don't want to get into that right now, and that's kind of irrelevant, because if you're feeling it, even if it's delusional or never happened or happened in a different way, that's a separate discussion. If you're feeling it, it's real for you. So therefore, it's something that's poison in your system. It needs to be cleansed. And the act of forgiving someone for what you feel was a perpetration, a violation, or a betrayal is powerful and has its full impact, regardless of how or if or when or where or the flavor of how it happened. That's a separate discussion, independent of the need to forgive. If you're feeling some sort of a perpetration or a betrayal or whatever, there's a need to forgive. So you've made a list of the people, a few bullet points of what needs to be forgiven. And then one great exercise, it's very powerful, is what I call writing and burning. You can write a letter to this person. Now, when you're writing the letter, you're writing it as though you are going to put it in an envelope and mail it to that person. So I know most people don't write with pen and paper anymore, or we live in a computer age. However, for this exercise, it's 1,000 times more powerful to write it by hand, because the writing in this healing modality, the writing acts as a poultice, and it pulls the toxic, the non-loving, the negative energy out of your emotional and mental body, and out of your cells too. So when you're doing this as a healing exercise, I strongly recommend writing by hand. And you write a letter to this person, and you first start, and let me qualify it and say, when you're doing this writing exercise, the same thing with inner child writing, but I'm not going to talk about that now, it's a separate issue. But when you're doing a writing exercise like this, a ceremony, you want to have no judge, no cynic, no skeptic, no critic. It needs to be a free-flowing stream of consciousness. You need to allow and give yourself 100% permission. Don't doctor it up. Don't make it sound nice. Don't spit polish it. If swears come out, fine. If it's filthy, fine. If it's all victimhood, fine. It needs to be a vomitorium, like you're sticking your finger down the throat of your emotional body and let it come out exactly as it does. No censoring, no judging, no criticizing, no editing. Raw. And so you write about whatever this particular issue or event was. The way you broke up with me, you sent me an effing text, I'm not going to say the swears here, but how dare you? How dare you? I didn't deserve to be disrespected like that. Just let it flow. Whatever's got to come out. I could effing and write till there's nothing left. When I started doing writing and burning exercises in early years of my training, my first writings and burnings, when I was clearing, I have one that I use in my teachings called the 4 lower bodies clearing technique. When I would clear my 4 lower bodies with writing and burning, the early ones were 20, 25 pages long. And then eventually doing it every single morning, eventually you become very fastidious and facile with it. When you pick up that pen, especially if you do this as, an ongoing process, like if you're doing this in the year of forgiveness and you're going through, let's say you have 10 or 15 people you're going to start forgiving, you'll become very adept at it, and the stuff will just come very succinctly, very clear, and it'll get shorter and shorter. Again, I'm not asking you to edit, but in the beginning, it might be kind of verbose. Allow that too. It'll get more succinct, and you'll see how much an immediate access you have to your mental and emotional body once you start developing and strengthening the muscle, just like going to the gym. You're a little bit flaccid and wonky when you start, but you really, when you stay disciplined and get in the groove of it, your workouts get better, your form gets better, you start seeing the results in your body. Same with this. You'll get better at the technique and you'll have more immediate access and stuff will come. So you do that writing and burning. You do that writing, write it all out. And then once you've vomited the negativity, the anger, the hurt, your recounting of the event or situation, then all your emotions about it and thoughts about it. Then when you've completed that, then you write the forgiveness. And I now choose to forgive blankety blank, whatever you said or did. And I offer it all up to God. And I now forgive you and bless you and send you my unconditional love. And I forgive myself for whatever part I had in it. And if you want to identify any of that, you can. And I now choose to forgive myself. And then you sign it, and then you burn it. So we used to have, like, when I would do mine, I had a little steel can outside, and I would burn it. Some people like to crumple it up, put it in their fireplace. And then you burn that, and when you're burning it, you offer it up to the Creator, to God, the Lords of Karma, to transmute into pure love, and it releases it from your body. So that's a very powerful ceremony you can do for forgiveness. Now, and that one can be used across the board for anyone and anything. Now, getting even more specific, there'll be some instances where I would still do that first with everyone and everything on your list. Do that as the first ceremony. Now, there'll be some people you might know in terms of appropriateness and restitution where you really, really feel you need either an in-person, face-to-face to sit. And again, that writing exercise will help clear you so that you're not walking in there like a victim in projection and just throwing gasoline on the fire. That'll help ground you and clear you so that a more mature, more centered, grounded, forgiving person can show up for a conversation. But that might not be appropriate with everyone, particularly if the person's deceased or living 10,000 miles away or doesn't want to see you ever again or see you at this time. Some might be a phone call or a video call, a Skype call, or a WhatsApp call. So you have to be in the listening and meditation and feel out what feels appropriate. But again, it's not what your ego or angry emotional body wants. It's what God and your heart and soul is asking of you. Be in that inquiry, not what your ego wants to lick its wounds and to get satisfied and to be the winner. That's not how it works. Certainly not in the realm of forgiveness. So then you need to be in the listening to see at what level of engagement, if any, is necessary. Some of the smaller infractions, that writing and burning will be sufficient, and you'll feel, wow, it's gone. I feel really clear and okay, and I have only good thoughts and feelings toward that person. Other ones, you'll know you need a phone or video call, and there'll be others you really know you need to have a sit down. Now, ideally, in a perfect world, it would be so awesome if you had already done all your cleansing and healing before meeting the person. And if that happens, great. That might not. But if it does, then you might just be seeing that person to apologize for your part and take ownership of your part, to just say, I just wanted to see you again and tell you how much I love you or how much our friendship has meant to me or whatever. But if you need to clear the air a little bit, just do your very best to not go in there as a victim with the finger pointing and blaming, because that's only going to be gasoline on a fire. If you're going into any type of peacemaking or arbitration, if you're not going in with ownership and accountability for your hand in something, you're kind of wasting your time. It would be very, very, very unlikely that that meeting will be anything but incendiary and worsen. I would almost bet my house almost 100% of the time. Unless it got to that point and you stayed in there, rolled up your sleeves and said, I need to fix this, which usually does not happen, because once the two mental and emotional bodies, the egos, are all engaged, now it's just, it's hopeless and you have to separate at some point. But there are some people who just, I've seen it with some of the couples I've coached, where they get to that point. They go in with the best intentions, or they think they do. And then one ego or both get inflamed, and then they start the projection and attacking. And then somehow one or both of them will catch themselves going, we took the bait. Let's go back to what he taught us on what I call fair fighting. Let's go back to using these tools appropriately and work their way through it. And I love when someone will call me or write to me and say, oh, you'll be so proud of me. We started out using, following your guidance. We got activated. It got really ugly. And we just took a 5-minute break, went and cleared ourselves, came back, and said, let's get through this properly. And we did. Came out the other side with resolve, forgiveness, and a resolution. I said, wow, Remember, mastery is not about what happens to you. Mastery is about how you handle what happens to you. Alrighty. Okay. So that answers your question about some of the things you can do to promote forgiveness.